Happy freaking New Year. It is now 2022. Thank goodness. 2021 was a rough year. I'll get into that a little bit more, but first, hi, I'm Kelsey. I'm a comic artist. Wow, let me try that again. I'm Kelsey. I'm a comic artist. I am here to share art while I work with it, while I just hang out here. Just hosting this on YouTube and Twitch. Excuse me. Links. I'll go ahead and throw up my link tree so that you can check out some of my other links as well, because I also make webcomics. I will actually be drawing a couple of them. Checking in on comments. Yes, Jessica, happy new year to you too. Oh my gosh, I'm just so glad that 2021 is done. For those of you who are catching this on the replay, hello to all y'all. If you're watching this live currently, feel free to leave comments. And, I look forward to your feedback while I draw. Today, I'm going to be drawing. Hi, Carlos. Good to see you, buddy. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Okay. Anyway, today I'm going to be drawing one of the new webcomic ideas that I'm really looking forward to in 2022. So for a little bit of context, I spent December, all of last month, pretty much off the internet, like not releasing new webcomics for the most part, not posting on Instagram, not doing any of that stuff because I was planning projects for 2022. I know. I see your comment, Carlos, the gaspy faces. I see that. I wanted to take that time to plan some projects for 2022 because I have a lot of really cool stuff in mind that I want to make. And with that, I'm going to be streaming a lot more often. I'm going to be streaming every Tuesday and Saturday moving forward. If there's going to be any changes in the agenda, it's going to be because either I'm sick or something else is happening. I do have some conventions like in summer, assuming things are going to be safe. We'll see, playing it by ear. Some of the events that I'll be a part of will be virtual, so I won't have to worry about those. But still, like, there's going to be some stuff. If there's a change in the streaming schedule, I'll be posting about it on all of my links on my link tree. There's my link tree. There's also a link in my bio if you're watching this on YouTube. Jessica, my wife has been working on anatomy. She's working on making arms not so spaghetti-like. You know what? I think today's stream, I'm going to start by inking this new page of The Legend of Jamie Roberts because that actually has a lot of arm stuff. I hope it can give you some pointers. Yeah, fingers crossed. Yeah, really. I'll talk a little bit about some of the projects that I want to do this year for 2022. But first, I'm going to get this page of The Legend of Jamie Roberts up, and then I will share the screen. I should have prepped this ahead of time, but okay, here we go. We're going to add that, and there we go. Arms are definitely a flex. Yes, they are. Arms are one of the trickiest things that you could draw, besides hands. I already did Daniel for this panel. If you're wondering why the background is all checkered, it's because I turned off the white. Oh, I turned it to 50% opacity. Here we go, 100% opacity. Part of the reason I turned that background off was so that I could see where I drew the Mokta lines, because the Mokta is drawn in white and colored in black. Okay, here we go. And before I forget, I'm going to just ink in Daniel's face here. Because yesterday I was working on this and I definitely stopped mid-page because I was like, I've been working at the computer for too long. My vision's starting to swim and I needed to take a break. Because during the hiatus period last month, when I was not posting any new comics or anything, I was actually working on building up buffer, making comics like ahead of schedule because I release pages once a week for The Legend of Jamie Roberts. The Legend of Azumi releases 2 pages a week on Jamie Roberts' website, which you can find on my link tree, link in my bio if you're watching on YouTube, or link tr.ee/KelseyD if you're watching on Twitch. And yes, I am simulcasting on Twitch and YouTube and Twitter. I don't entirely know how the Twitter integration works. I've not streamed on Twitter before. And yes, I'm back on Twitter. I'm only on there for the funsies. And I am not part of the comics Twitter community because, oh my God, comics Twitter is a mess. Like, I've been a lot more involved in the tabletop RPG community, and there are a lot of people who are like, the Warhammer fandom is really toxic. And I'm like, clearly you have never been involved in comics Twitter because it's even worse. Oh, that was one of the reasons that I left way back in 2017. The other reason was that was around when the dingus got into office and everybody was getting insufferable. And I was like, I can't really share any of my comic art on here unless I talk about political things that I don't want to talk about. So I just left. But I have discovered that the tabletop RPG community on Twitter is actually full of pretty cool folks. So that's why I'm on there. I did also do some like live tweeting during Critical Role episodes, but then I stopped doing that because it became pretty evident that a lot more of my focus was spent on Twitter and not on actually watching the episodes. So I wanted to just focus on the episodes again. So I stopped. But I'm also incredibly neurotic, so I have to keep my hands busy while watching TV. So I've been mostly knitting. Getting back into knitting. I'm actually working on a rainbow sweater in my off time. I have the front and back panels done. I'm working on the sleeves. Yeah, I'm that much of a dork. Okay, the parts of the arm that I'm drawing right now are the deltoid, which is the shoulder muscle, and the biceps and the triceps, which are part of the upper arm. There we go. Now, the tricky bit about drawing arms is that on some level, you got to be aware that, hey, every part of the body is connected to each other in some way. So, like, especially the deltoid is connected to a part of your pectoral muscles, which makes up your chest. And then the back part of the deltoid is connected to, I'm trying to remember the name of that muscle group. It's connected to the shoulder blades. It's not the latissimus dorsi. The latissimus dorsi are your sides. I did a bunch of weightlifting in high school, which is why I know some of these things. Wrestling Twitter was delightful last night. I'm sure it was. I bet there was a wrestling premiere and everybody had opinions on it. Because like in the middle of December, I had taken some time off to go and visit my grandmother, which was good. And I'll get to that in a minute why it was good. But my grandmother, Grammy, had cable and, well, no, not cable. She had satellite. That was it, because she lived in the middle of nowhere. So she had satellite. So she got that because she wanted to watch sports. So I just kept seeing advertisements for professional wrestling matchups. And I'm just like, I know somebody who'd be really into this. I used to knit. It was so much fun. I got back into knitting again because I needed to keep my hands busy while not doing studio stuff. Um, but it's been good to get back into knitting. I actually learned how to crochet first, but I can crochet and knit. That is what crafters call stitchcraft. Hello, Chloe. I hope your new year was fun and safe. I got the pictures of the what's the word I'm looking for? The cabbage fire pit. I got the pictures of that. It looks delightful. I hope that we can get together soon and actually do that as a group of friends. Hope everyone is having a good start to the new year. Same. Hope everybody's having a good start to the new year. So far, so good. Knock on wood. Well, more of an owner stuffing foot. Oh, no. Oh, no. I am so sorry that happened on wrestling Twitter. Oh, I know those moments. Those are not fun. Cabbage fire pit. Soon we will have cabbage fire pit. If you have no idea what we're talking about, Chloe, sound off in the comments what exactly the cabbage fire pit is, because I feel like the people need to know directly from you, because it's your family's idea. Most of my Christmas traditions are Christmas is a day where you wear pajamas the entire day, and that's about it. It wasn't until I was like 24 that I found out about something called the Christmas pickle. And that was one of the weirder traditions I ever heard of. But apparently, this is a thing among some families. If you don't know what the Christmas pickle is, there is an ornament in the shape of a pickle that you hide in the Christmas tree. Whoever finds the pickle in the Christmas tree gets to open the first present on Christmas. That's how the tradition is supposed to go. My family never did that. We would just string up popcorn and Kix the cereal on floss to make them into like little garlands, and we would wrap that around the tree. And wear pajamas all day. Like you do. I should probably be talking about more pointers for drawing arms, but right now I'm focusing on, on Daniel's head at the moment. I'll see about talking more about arm drawing pointers when I get to the next comic page that I want to ink in during this live stream. Oop. There we go. I want to make it look realistic that this line and this bottom line connect. Okay. Now, I don't know why, but when Clip Studio Paint updated most recently, it got rid of the slider bar that used to be here. I miss that slider bar. I would rather have that. Today's tea selection is Tazo brand glazed lemon loaf. It is quite good. It is caffeine free. So if you're looking for a caffeinated tea, look elsewhere. But if you're looking for a decaf option, I like decaf teas because I can only tolerate so much caffeine in one day. I learned that the hard way. Let's try that again. There we go. But yes, like I said before, I'm planning on live streaming every Tuesday and Saturday moving forward, unless there are events that I'm going to, or I get sick, or something else comes up. But that's the plan. Excuse me, I felt a sneeze, and I was like, oh no. Boop. There we go. For context, this is the first page of chapter 6 of The Legend of Jamie Roberts. You can catch up on the series at thelegendofjamieroberts.com. Oh, yes. The context of the cabbage fire pit. For context, my family has a Christmas Eve tradition where we don't have a huge dinner, just lots of snacks. We take a cabbage, shove a can of stereo into it, and roast weenies over the fire, which is probably the greatest Christmas tradition I have heard of, other than wearing pajamas all day. So I am down for that. We still need to figure out a day for our circle of friends to get together and do that. Oh, sterno. Correction. Cabbages and Arms, a love story. I might just retroactively rename this live stream Cabbages and Arms. Because that is great. It's also a great live stream name. Thank you for the suggestion, Carlos. Okay. Oh. Okay. Sometimes I remember to ink some things on different layers, and sometimes I do not. It looks like this instance I'm going to have to erase very carefully. There we go. I feel like Cabbages and Arms is a forbidden love story from Avatar: The Last Airbender fanfiction. And I regret saying this out loud. I am so sorry. Excuse me. God, I don't know why my throat is all of a sudden like, I don't want you to talk. And I'm like, I'm live streaming. I need to talk. Okay. I'm actually going to pause inking the rest of the page here because what's left on this page is inking the body of the dragon, and that requires a little bit of cheating. So I'm just going to close it out here, and I'm going to bring up the new comic project. Oop. There it is. Okay. This is in the validation universe. Yes, we are bringing that back. Oh, I'm sorry. I have to catch up with comments because I have released a beast. Hi, Ben. It's good to see you. Happy New Year. I'm hoping that 2022 is better. You spoke it into existence. It must happen now. Alex and I will figure out how to write this. Can't unsee. My cabbage has been in a sexy way. So, like, my cabbages. Sorry. I brought that into existence. Mind blown. Yes. Oh, what is my life? Okay. Anyway, this comic project right here, it is in the validation universe. And far as I know, I got the okay from CB to ink this live. I'm just going to double check. I'm pretty sure that she's cool. Yeah, she's cool with it. I figured she would be. I was like, hey, I want to ink this comic live. Is it cool if I do that? And she was like, yes. So I'm going to do it. This story is called New Punk Signal, and it follows the two main characters, not Allie and Roxy. Their stories are pretty much wrapped up, and I will be releasing a PDF of Roxy's comics in 2022. That's one of the comic projects that I had planned for this year. This story, New Punk Signal, follows the characters Mike and Steve, two precious himbos right after my heart. I wanted to draw their story because I just love their dynamic and I love these characters to bits. Because, like, when they first appear in Validation, you totally think that they're going to be like dude bros at a bar that are hitting on these girls because that's where they pick up chicks. And then it turns out that they're actually really sweet. And they're doing their heckinest, they're doing their best. And They're also really big fans of, yes, the himbos. I am going to be working with CB on a story about the himbos. Yes, we're bringing the himbos and we're bringing them into their own story. It's going to be great. Excuse me. Okay. Here. Let there be himbos. Yes. And probably one of the weirder experiences of my life was having to go on my Discord server, which I have a Discord server. I'm going to plug that really quick. Work in a Gallo cameo and I'll just die happy. Oh, I'll figure out how to do that. We'll figure out a way to squeeze one in there. Because like in the universe of validation, comic conventions happen so frequently, it's going to happen. Gallo will find his way in there. Anyway, so I was going to pitch something. Okay, we were talking about new punk signal, and then we were talking about himbos. Oh, right. The pitch was for the Discord server. I had to explain to one of my members of my Discord what a himbo was, because he had never heard the term before. And I was like, okay. So I just copy and pasted the top voted Urban Dictionary definition of it, which was basically a big dude who drinks his respect women juice and who has basically elevator music playing in his head all the time. And like, he's got a really nice ass, but like not a whole lot of brains. But like, that's basically a himbo. If you want like the best encapsulation of who or what a himbo is, just think of Kronk from The Emperor's New Groove. Debatably, Hercules from Disney's Hercules is also a himbo. He's not exactly S tier like Kronk is, but like he's up there. If you want to see two people debating a himbo tier list, I highly recommend Overly Sarcastic Productions. They did a himbo tier list. I kid you not. Himbo, like from the works of Homer. Yes. Yeah. Because Hercules. But yes, new punk signal is going to be following these two himbos and following their story. I have a lot of ideas. CB and I both have a lot of ideas of how we're going to proceed forward. We're calling this from the works of Homer Simpson. No, we're talking about the Greek Homer, not Simpson. I'm going to abruptly segue into pitching how you can get on my Discord server and have somebody explain to you what a himbo is. So if you want to see in real time somebody awkwardly explain what a himbo is, just join my Discord server. The way you do that is you give $1 a month on either my Ko-fi or my Patreon. I have both. Let's see. You can leave a tip at ko-fi.com/Kelsey D. Crawford. Link also in the doobly-doo if you're watching this on YouTube. You can also join the Sticker of the Month Club on Patreon. $1 a month patrons on Patreon get to vote on sticker designs. If you pledge $10 a month or more, you get stickers mailed to you directly. Also, shout out to everybody who pledged on Patreon, because now I have a good sticker printing setup at home. So that's really nice. Thank you for helping to make that happen. But Ko-fi is where I've like basically moved all of my Patreon-esque operations to. So if you want to see my behind the scenes Kickstarter fulfillment things, if you want to see some like super duper secret blog posts or comics, if you want to see how comics get made from script to finished product, Ko-fi is the place to go. You know, Carlos, you bring up a good philosophical point. Depending on the season, Homer is a himbo. More like a himdo. Yes. Yes, absolutely. I think early seasons Homer was like I'd rank him as maybe like a C tier himbo because like typically himbos are supposed to be good looking. I mean, if Homer Simpson is your type, cool, rock your socks off. He's not exactly my type, but like the stereotypical image of a himbo is like I said, Kronk from The Emperor's New Groove, Gallo from Promare. Oh, there was another one that was like, oh yeah, he's very pretty. Oh, Thor from the Marvel movies in particular. Oh yeah. I don't think Homer counts as a himbo because he doesn't drink his respect women juice enough. That's why he's C tier for me because he meets all the other requirements except for that. Um, the Simpsons character. I would argue maybe Homer, the actual like ancient figure as well. Like I would argue that. Okay. So arm pointers. I can bring up some arm pointers here because these two himbos have some of the best arms that I've drawn on anybody. Roxy too, because like Roxy being a trans lady and a roller derby girl, she's got some muscles. Let's see. Who do I want to start with? Actually, I'll start with the extras because there's this guy over here who's got a pretty well-defined bicep and tricep. And also, this would be a good point to bring up how arm musculature works whenever you're bending it at the angle like he's bending it at. So whenever you're bending an arm, one side of the arm is going to compress and the other side is going to stretch. So one side of the arm is going to be like, and the underside is going to be like, whoop, you know? So like whenever, I should take this off to fully demonstrate this. This is also a good way to show off my guns, like my arm guns. So I'm just going to shrink that for a second so that you can better see. So whenever you're drawing arms, there is a lot to be said about how things squash and stretch, to use animator terms. So whenever you have an arm like bent like this or like this, what you want to illustrate is, yeah. Looking at it now, I'm like, holy dang, I got some decent biceps actually. But whenever you're drawing an arm muscle, what I'm doing is I'm tensing my bicep here. So it's squashed, but the tricep is stretched. So whenever you're drawing that, keep that in mind. The same for the forearm muscles, because like whenever you're tensing one side or the other, this is kind of squashed, this is stretched. So like use a lot of squash and stretch line mentality whenever you're drawing arms. That'll help them pop a little bit more. You should be selling tickets to this gun show. Freaking right. Just like, oh, look at that. Yeah, look at that. I was seriously considering getting a gym membership because I want to get back into some serious gains. lucky the safety is on. Oh my gosh. Dorks, all of you. I love you. Anyway, yes. So part of the reason I even have these kinds of guns is because I started working part-time at Michael's doing stocking stuff recently, which also includes unloading the truck. And you would be surprised how heavy carts can get and how heavy boxes of river rocks can get, because we get both of those things. Right now, Michael's is doing like a storage sale. So they're selling a lot of wheeled carts and drawer systems, like drawers, chests of drawers, and other kinds of storage units. And some of those can get kind of heavy. So I'm getting some gains here, is what I'm saying. Anyway, I hope those pointers help with drawing biceps and triceps in particular. Forearms are often the part of the body that I have some sticky trouble with. Okay, for this, I'm going to shrink the pen size to 16 because this is in the validation universe. And whenever I drew this, traditionally, I worked with finer line pens, not necessarily bold ones. But one of the projects that I want to make happen for 2022, if I can get the camera rig set up properly, there's going to be a lot more traditional art this year because I want to do a tarot deck drawn entirely in a line art style. And I'll show you a sample of what I'm talking about. Just catching up on comments. Productivity, sales push. Yeah. Actually, speaking of sales push, I'm going to, hopefully I'll have everything set up by Tuesday's live stream because I will be live streaming again on Tuesday at 2 p.m. But hopefully I'll have everything set up to get a sale going on my Ko-fi shop because new year, new sale. I want to clearance out some stuff to make room for some new things, particularly new prints and products and things. While I'm thinking about it, speaking of products, regrettably, I have to increase the prices of my books because of a couple of factors. The first one being the price point that they were at previously, I was actually not making a profit off of them. The other one being the price of actually printing the books has risen. Part of that could be just inflation. Part of that could be, what is it? The inventory crunches that everybody's having. Like, I know one of the reasons that The Legend of Jamie Roberts Volume 1 had reprints that needed to get printed. It needed to be reprinted, and the reprints took forever to do because my usual printer was having a paper shortage. Paper shortages are real. Because that happened in the summer, I want to say. God, 2021 was such a blur of a year. I'm going to not have those lines there, but there we go. Okay. Oh, catching up on comments. Forearms are weird to me because most of the muscles are right near the elbow pit, this part right here, and the tendons go from there all the way to the fingers. I mean, anatomically speaking, you are correct. I don't tend to think about like what's completely underneath the skin whenever I'm drawing forearms and things like that. If you think about it, the forearm is one of the weirdest parts of the body because the bones rotate around each other whenever you do this hand gesture, which I don't like thinking about. I follow a printer on YouTube. There is a paper and toner shortage going on that is getting pretty bad. Yes. I'm wondering if you and I are thinking of the same printer on YouTube because I also started recently following a printer on YouTube. So shout out their name in the comments. I might know who you're talking about. One of the reasons that I wanted to stream a lot more this year was because of all the projects that I want to make happen this year. And I want y'all to see the kind of progress I'm making on those projects. And just share what it is that I'm working on and share the new stuff that's coming out and all that jazz. Because how else am I going to make these projects happen unless I like talk about them openly and frequently and show you how any of these are made? Yes, so New Punk Signal is a comic that CB and I are working on in the universe of Validation, which if you have not read Validation, I wish I could direct you to a website. Our original website had to get taken down. So currently, the best way for you to read past Validation comics is to support CB on Patreon. And I'll add that link on my link tree later, and I'll post a link on my website, kelseydcrawford.com, if you're interested in that. But we had to take the old website down because stuff happened to it. We still need to figure out exactly what happened, but we're working on getting a new site figured out. That said, I did reach out to CB about reformatting the validation library so that it can be more easily read on Webtoon and Tapas. So if you read comics on either of those apps, validation may be making an appearance on those apps fairly soon. The Legend of Jamie Roberts will be appearing on those apps pretty soon. Here we are, the squash and stretch principle present in this arm. So like when the forearm is lifted at that kind of angle where it's bent, you squash the inner part and stretch the outer part. Now, whenever you have the arm straightened out, the inverse is true. You stretch the inside of the forearm and you squash the outside line. The channel is just a printer. I think that's the dude that I follow, actually. And if you're watching on Twitch, follow, host, and eventually subscribe. Thumbs up, yes. I'm not sure that I want to get to the level of Twitch partner because knowing what I know about Twitch, it just makes me go, you know what? If you really like my stuff and you like what I do, just give me a tip on Ko-fi. Your dollar will go farther if you support me directly on Ko-fi. But yes, follow me on Twitch because it all helps. It all helps because the more eyeballs that see this stuff, the better. I'm kind of hoping, not kind of, I am hoping that streaming more often, sharing my work, and just making more stuff this year will help grow things better. And I just realized I have been inking on the wrong layer this whole time. Okay, so this is why you pay attention to layers, kids. All right, so here's what we're going to do. We're just going to save this version as whip. Okay, and then we're going to start new layer, inks, and we're going to set this to 50%, and we are going to try this again. Okay. We're off to a great start. It's okay. I'm glad that I caught it now instead of when the entire thing was inked. Oof, that would have been bad. This is also better than what happened when I was working on a page of The Legend of Jamie Roberts. I was not paying close enough attention to the layers that I had set up, and I accidentally deleted an entire layer of inks right after finishing the entire page. Ooh, that made me so mad. So I had to redraw the entire page. Thankfully, I had the because I do the shadows on a separate layer. So I had the shadows there and the pencils to help guide me on where the inks were supposed to sit, but it was still frustrating to have to deal with that. least this is giving me an easy reference to kind of trace off of. Though I'm not exactly doing any favors for people who ink comics, because inker is an actual job in the comic book assembly line of things. Traditionally speaking. I don't necessarily know how true that is anymore, since a lot of comics production has moved to the digital sphere of things. I don't necessarily know if inker is a separate job anymore. But I've also just been doing all of the steps myself long enough that, I'm just kind of used to doing pencils and inks. It's probably why my pencils are so sloppy. Or I think they're sloppy. A lot of other people are like, oh my God, these are tidy. And it's like, yeah. There we go. Okay. Save the progress, kids. Catching up on comments for a quick second. If you drew on a raster layer, you could just select all the black from it, cut and paste. I mean, I could, but the pencils are all different colors. But I would rather not do that, because the way that I have the wand set up, it would remove a lot of the edges and it would make things look really jagged, and I didn't want that. I follow CB on Patreon, loving seeing the old Validation comics. Her photography project previews are pretty awesome as well. She does really good photography, not gonna lie. Anytime that, we don't really meet up much anymore because of the era that we are in currently, but pre these times, we would meet up like once every couple of years or so. And anytime that we met up, like, she would always like go off on the side whenever we stopped anywhere, and she'd be like, I need to get this because this is such a great photo moment. Like, look at the lighting, look at the composition here. And I'm like, sweet, you do you. I mean, to be fair, she also entertained me whenever I'm like, oh my God, I need to draw this. We enable each other. Okay, here we go. Jacket with torn off sleeves, because this is a punk show. So we're calling this new punk signal because Mike and Steve, precious himbo boys, are into the punk stuff. There's a reason why they support, in universe, there's a comic called Anti-Santa, which is a story written by a 12-year-old kid. It's great. I love it. Maybe one day we'll make an Anti-Santa comic. We'll see. But this is something I need to talk with CB about. Are we going to do an Anti-Santa comic? I mean, I'm not going to rule out the possibility. I did make Rubber Duck the Reckoning, which was off of Johnson and Sir, and also based on a poster that I included in the background of Validation as a gag. Oh, speaking of mini comics, the art for The Legend of Azumi is completely done. I wanted to throw that out there because here's the thing about December. The original plan was to take a social media hiatus for the month only. That was the original intent, was just to take the social media hiatus. However, right around December 8th, December 9th, I had to make a trip down to middle of nowhere to see my grandmother because Grammy had taken a turn. And I'm glad that I went because she passed away on the 9th. And that hit kind of hard. So I was really unable to like do much of anything for like the weeks after that. So I just took a hiatus off of all of my projects. Um, and there were no new As You Me updates, no new Jamie Roberts updates, no new puzzle spell pages, no email newsletter, no new Ko-fi posts, no new Patreon posts for the last 2-3 weeks of December, because I wanted to take that time off to just process and rest. And I'm glad that I did that. I'm really glad that I did that. Because Grammy would have wanted me to take a break. I know her well enough that if she were still moving around, she would be like, "Honey, you need to take some time off," because that's kind of close to how she talked. There's if you really need a good impression of Grammy, there's a lot more. Well, I gotta go down and do the wash, because that was just how she was. But she wouldn't have wanted me to work all the time, especially through, you know, everything that happened. Honestly, her passing took everybody by surprise because we all thought that she was just going to live forever. Um, she was just that impressive. Um, Shortly after she went, mom started making phone calls to family members, informing them of what happened. And everybody's response was, "What?" Because they just couldn't believe it. Honestly, I couldn't believe it either. But like I said, we all thought that she was just going to live forever because she was just that full of life. She was also the last living grandparent that I had. But I was glad that I was there. Um, I like to imagine that her final words, um, because she died the way that she wanted to. She wanted to go in her sleep. Um, but I like to think that one of her final words was, "Is everybody done visiting? Good, time for a nap." Because that was one of the last things that she said before things started going south. She was just a delightful human being. Lynette and Sunshine, if you are watching this, I have a D&D character, Alice of the Gray Hills. That is my grandmother. That is Grammy, if you want to know what her personality is like. But I needed to take some time off in December to, not be online, um, not be beholden to work. Um, and also, I just needed to take a break. It had been on my mind to just take December off anyway. That just kind of gave me an excuse. But when I was planning my 2022 projects, I now have taken into account that I want to take December off. Like, not do any social media, not have any webcomics posting updates, no email newsletters, none of that. Just completely off the grid, as it were, in December. For like an entire month. That's the goal with 2022, is to make, and then for December take the month off. It's been a thing that I've been wanting to do since I started making comics as a job was just, I kept thinking to myself, it would be nice to have an entire month off. And I feel like now I'm getting to a point where I can make that happen. So that's my thinking on all of that. For 2022, I actually do want to participate in a lot more month challenges, like with artists on Instagram and Tumblr. There's challenges like Mermaid, where you draw a mermaid every day during the month of May. I'm going to try to do that. There's Shiptember. I would like to participate in Shiptember this year. I was thinking about maybe participating in Swordtember, which is something that Faith Schaffer came up with on Instagram, but I feel like that's Faith's thing. Like, I'll let her do that and I can participate in something else. I do plan on doing Inktober again this year. Inktober for 2021 was the little webcomic Puzzle Spell. You can read that on my Ko-fi page. I was considering drawing a page of Puzzle Spell for today's live stream, but I just did not pencil it ahead of time. Oh, catching up on comments. Yeah, I'm glad that I was able to spend time with her and spend time with the family too. I was also really happy that I could see her back in October because the Grammy timeline goes that I went to visit her in October, and then or was it September? In the fall. I went and visited her in the fall. And I'm glad that I got to see her in the fall because she was in her home in the countryside. So I visited her there, and then Mom took her and Grammy back to Mom's home, which is not in the middle of nowhere, so that Mom could keep a better eye on her and help her out and all that stuff. Because, yeah, Shieldtember? Maybe. You're giving me ideas now. Possibly Shieldtember. I'm gonna put that in my Evernote. I will say, with all the things that I want to accomplish for with all the things that I want to accomplish for 2022, I've been using Evernote a lot more often. It is helping to organize my production schedule, or like a rough outline of my production schedule, and also outline the other projects that I want to make happen, like the tarot deck, which I'll show you a piece of art that will give you an idea of how I want this tarot deck to look aesthetically. But there's also a couple of new zines that I want to make happen. There's some PDF comics collections that I want to make happen. There's potentially even a little side Tumblr blog that I want to make happen. I'll get to that in a second. But first, I'm going to make note of Shieldtember because that is a great idea. Shieldtember posed by the Lois. Making it a little note. Not me give ideas. You're good for that. That's why I keep you around, dude. Let me change up the banner because this has been the banner for long enough. Let's do join the Sticker of the Month Club. Because I have a Sticker of the Month Club. If you would like to get stickers in your mailbox, support me at Kelsey D Stickers. If we grow it big enough and we start getting in enough each month, I would like to expand to acrylic pins and prints. We're starting with stickers. Also, if you support me on Patreon or Ko-fi, On either place, you'll get high resolution downloads of some of my illustrations that I've made into prints. Ooh, instead of monthly challenges, I'm going to shoot to do at least one piece of fan art a week. I've fallen out of the habit and want to start again. Kudos to you. I'm going to hold you accountable on that because I want to see that. I'm a member of your Discord, so I'm hoping that you're going to be posting on there, working on those things. I thought it was because of my ravishing good looks. I mean, that doesn't hurt. I had considered doing a piece of art each week, but I don't want to hold myself to that sort of agenda because my life is weird enough as it is. But best of luck to you making one piece of fan art a week. Really, I want to see that happen. Expect a lot of Critical Role stuff. There better be. Oh, there better be. That actually reminds me, I haven't made a Critical Art fan art piece yet, and I kind of want to draw my goth wife. If you don't know who that is a character named Laudna, who is played by Marisha Ray. She is a dark delight, and I love her to bits. I mean, I love Marisha's characters. I was actually a fan of Keyleth when everybody else was like, Keyleth sucks. And I'm like, but I love Keyleth. Like, Keyleth has a great character arc to me. And there are people who have retroactively looked back on it now that Vox Machina's story is complete. And they're like, okay, yeah, Keyleth is actually good. Which, like, I'm glad that she's getting that kind of recognition now. But, like, I love Keyleth. Beauregard actually took me a while to like. But once she kind of started getting over herself more was when I started to like her a lot more. And Laudna is, I just love Laudna. I love her right off the bat. I look forward to whatever it is that she does next. My personal favorite character right now, though, is Ashton, which I'm really glad that I'm not a cosplayer because Ashton is like, there's a reason why there were a lot of cosplayers on tabletop RPG Twitter who were like cosplayers to form a union against Taliesin Jaffe's character ideas because he keeps coming up with characters that would be utter nightmares for cosplayers to put together a costume for, whether it's because of like super highly detailed coats or tattoos on not human toned skin, or my hair is made of crystals. Like, there are so many things that Taliesin Jaffe does that costumers all over the world are like, they both love and hate it. It's probably like a love to hate scenario. Realistically, though, if I'm going to be drawing fan art, it is going to be for the D&D campaign setting that I run. Since Chloe, you're actually a part of the campaign setting, you know what I'm talking about. But if I'm going to be drawing any kind of fan art this year, it's going to be for that campaign setting. Keyleth and Beauregard were weird because both seemed like Marisha was just playing herself, and yet they were completely different. People contain multitudes. If there is any one thing that I have learned from John Green novels, it is that. Taliesin specifically said that he wanted Molly Mock's costume to give cosplayers panic attacks. That tracks for Taliesin. I have noticed that my viewership has gone down a little bit once we started talking about Critical Role stuff. Like, okay, y'all, I understand that there's some pushback and blowback when it comes to Critical Role bullshit. Y'all need to get over yourselves. Like, just have fun with it. If there's any one thing that I have learned from 2021, it is stop pursuing things out of a sense of obligation and just pursue things out of a sense of joy. one of the reasons why I had started up some side Instagram accounts and then closed them within like a couple of months after they launched because I was like, I'm not having fun with this anymore. Um, Now I just do things if they're fun. Same goes for when I can get away with it. The same goes for paid work because when I worked at a bakery during the summer and fall of last year, and that was one of the worst work experiences I've ever had. And I basically stuck with it out of a sense of obligation, and I am never doing that to myself ever again. If there's ever any time that I feel like I have to stick with something because I quote unquote have to do it, that's when I need to leave. That is one thing that I have learned about myself this past year. It's one of the reasons why I left Neverending. It's why I left the bakery. It's anytime that I stick with something out of a sense of obligation, bad things happen. I'm actually going to flip the canvas because I need to. Yeah, the pencils for that thumb were too elongated, so I just had to fix that. Also, this is a hot take, and I feel like I probably need to think about this a little bit more, but this is just an offhand observation. A lot of the pushback that I'm seeing for Critical Role is kind of similar to the pushback for Undertale way back in the day. I'm noticing. Um, but that's a hot take. I would need more time to articulate that. It's kind of like, um, and here is the obligatory Dragon Ball Z moment of any live stream. It's kind of like when I went online and I went, hot take, perfect cell is lawful evil. I have an argument formulated for that a little bit more now, but that was a hot take that I came up with in the summer. I was like, hot takes, perfect cell is lawful evil. My main argument for why perfect cell is lawful evil is because I feel like a lot of people kind of misinterpret what lawful evil means. If you don't know what I'm talking about, lawful evil is a alignment in Dungeons and Dragons, and I believe Pathfinder also has character alignments, if I'm not mistaken. Ben, let me know. You play Pathfinder way more often than I do. I've only ever played it like a handful of times, but um, lawful evil is a character alignment. If you've seen the memes online of like a 9 square grid and like some columns are like lawful, neutral, chaotic, and then the rows are good, neutral, evil, and there are characters who are placed within that grid according to whatever the alignment is. That's what it's talking about. Lawful evil is one of the best examples I can think of is Darth Vader. Lawful evil, at least to me, is somebody who is on the evil aligned side of things, who obeys the rules for their own gain. And to me, the reason why Perfect Cell is lawful evil is because, yes, he sets the rules, hence why he created the Cell games. I mean, you have to be a lover of rules to some extent to want to even run that sort of thing. So, like, he created the Cell games, he set up the rules for it. So, lawful in that respect. Definitely has his own code and method of doing things, which is also lawful evil. Honestly, Joe Cat did a Crap Guide to D&D episode about alignment, and the way he described lawful evil is if you make a pinky promise to somebody that you're not going to fuck their mom, lawful evil keeps that promise because they're going to fuck their dad instead. That is lawful evil. Oh, catching up on comments. We're going to get rid of that one comment. I'm not going to highlight it. I've already blocked that user. The inevitable backlash. I'm waiting for it. I mean, there's already some evidence of a backlash to Critical Role if my YouTube recommended feed is any indication, because like I usually watch Critical Role live on YouTube because they simultaneously play on YouTube and Twitch on Thursday nights. But YouTube decided, oh, you like Critical Role? Here's a whole bunch of recommendations of people bad mouthing Critical Role or talking about why it sucks or why this character sucks and stuff like that. And I'm like, why are you recommending this? Like, I like this show. I don't hate watch it. People who hate watch a thing are like not enjoying their life on purpose. Why would you do that to yourself? I usually play alignment as good equals altruistic, bad equals selfish. I mean, yeah. I don't pay too much attention to character alignments whenever I am the DM. I'll say that now. To me, it's more important what their motivations are, because each character is motivated by different things. Like, what do they want? What do they fear? That's what I care more about, especially when it comes to NPCs. What do they want? What do they fear? Because like those can be universal no matter what your character alignment is. To me, what makes a D&D character quote unquote good or evil would be the goals that they have and the methods that they take to achieve them. Again, a lawful evil would say, yes, I'm not going to fuck your mom because they're going to fuck your dad instead. Because you didn't mention anything about him. Actually, hold on. I'm going to lock the pixels for a second, and I'm going to change the color of that tattoo so that it's a little bit more evident that it's a tattoo. Oh, my original intent was to wrap up the stream at 3, but I'm just going to keep going for a little bit longer, and then we'll just wrap up whenever I feel like I want to wrap up. If y'all need to bow out at any time, that is fine. This will post as a replay on YouTube, youtube.com/KelseyD. Link is also in the doobly-doo if you're watching this on YouTube. There's also a link at kelseydcrawford.com. You're not wrong. Complaints get more traction on the algorithm. Yeah, honestly, YouTube monetizes, well, a lot of algorithms monetize outrage because that's what gets interactions, and interactions are what will keep you on the site, basically. Yeah, it's not my favorite thing in the world. I hate that this is a thing, and I hate that algorithms have been constructed in such a way that this is how they make money and this is how the system works. I feel like there were better ways to structure the system to begin with so that things are much more positive. But this is the world that we live in. It is up to us to fix it. Because I hate when people say it is what it is, because that just shows a real lack of imagination. That just tells me, oh, you're not interested in actually fixing the things that are wrong. Cool. Boots and shoes are a thing that I love and hate to draw. Realistically, they're a thing that I need to practice more. I was thinking about putting together an art book for 2022. I think I'll still do that because I was just thinking about how there are some artists who do warm up sketches, and kudos to them. I don't really do that sort of thing anymore. Um, though on occasion, I'll get the bug. Um, and if I did an art book, the art book would include those things. Hmm. There we go. Okay. Yeah, that looks better to me. Yeah, I agree, Chloe. People who hate watch content need to touch grass. Watching something just to hate it is terrible for your mental health. Pursue content that makes you happy. Exactly. If again, something that I have learned from this past year, do more of the things that make you happy. And like there will be people who will be like, "Well, hate watching a thing makes me happy." No, it doesn't. It makes you miserable and it makes you terrible to hang around because all you do is complain. If you really want to make a difference and if you really want to like make more friends, try pursuing something that you actually like. Just throwing that out there. I've started to hold that true for the kind of gigs that I say yes to and the work that I do. And I realize that that is a privilege that not a lot of people have. But yes, when it comes to the kind of work that I do, what I do for just, blowing off steam or in my off time or anything like that, I've just come to the conclusion it is a lot more fun to do the stuff that makes you happy and not do the stuff that you tell yourself you need to do out of obligation. Um, it took me a while to internalize that lesson in 2021, but I'm I'm at that point now where I'm like, oh man, it is so much nicer to just do the things that you like instead of the things that you quote unquote have to do. Am I drawing a hairstyle that I was inspired by after watching The Witcher season 2? Yes, yes, I am. The Witcher is one of those shows that I originally did not want to watch because it didn't seem like my cup of tea. And I know that sounds weird because like fantasy is my jam and I am the peanut butter and together we make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich of awesomeness, but like when I first encountered the concept of the Witcher series, I was like, "Oh, white-haired angsty guy with a tragic backstory walking around with a sword and like killing monsters. Super original, guys." But really the charm of The Witcher is the other characters, although The Witcher himself is not that bad to look at. Just gonna throw that out there. Henry Cavill, wonderfully cast as The Witcher. Just gonna throw that out there. He is a fine piece of man. Also, you can tell the episodes are often directed by women because of either A, how Henry Cavill is framed in the shot, or B, how the lady characters are framed in the shot and portrayed. And the Witcher TV series actually does a lot to include a lot more different perspectives in there. Is the Witcher series perfect? No. But it is better than I thought it would be. I'm also kind of a sucker for the concept of found family, and The Witcher has a lot of found family dynamics involved, especially whenever Ciri gets involved. I wish I could comment more about the Witcher books, but I actually haven't read more than one. I've only ever read one book. Catching up on comments real quick. I will admit I've hate read comics before. There was something satisfying about being like, this sucks, right? I'm not wrong. This sucks. I mean, I'll get to that in a second. Let me catch up on more comments. Come to think of it, I haven't actually done that in a while. Maybe that changed for me in 2022 and I just didn't realize it. Yeah, if it starts hurting your health in any way, then I would say it's not good for you. But if you can do it in a way that's healthy, then yeah, agreed. If there is a way that you can pursue something in a healthy way, then cool. Um, there are people who have found a way to work jobs that maybe they don't necessarily hate, but they're just like, it pays the bills. It's not my quote unquote passion job or anything like that, but it helps make ends meet. And the things that satisfy me are the things that I do in my off time. And that, if that's you and you've found a way to make that work, cool. I'm not that kind of person. I have to like the things that I am doing. I have learned this about myself. I've been working my way through the books before trying the games or show. Talking about The Witcher. Not sure I recommend that. I get the impression the show handles things better. It does. It does. From what I understand, there are some things about the books that are a little. You can tell that it was written by an Eastern European dude. So the TV show did bring in a lot of other and different voices, and I think that is to the show's benefit. Which of the books did you read? I thought I read the first one. The thing about the Witcher series is that the books are not released in chronological order. So the book that I read was like the first Witcher book that like got published that I know of. I wish I could say more than that. I don't remember the title of this book. If you throw it in the comments, it'll probably ring a bell. Those leather pants, though. My God, right? Oh, Henry Cavill in leather pants. My goal for the year, draw more sketches, stress less about posting fully finished pieces. Yes, absolutely. Don't worry about the... Honestly, when it comes to art, nothing's ever really truly finished. There's always going to be something that you look at and you're like, I could have done that better. I could have done that better. Oh my God, I could have done this better. Why did I draw it this way? But like, done is better than perfect. Well, other people have phrased it as done as perfection is the enemy of good, which is true. I would say perfection is the enemy of finishing anything. It's probably why I've released as many comics as I have, is because I'm like, I just want to get this done. Like, obviously do the best work that you can, but like, when it's done, it's done. And it's okay to just trust that something is finished. It is somewhat of a different mindset of whenever you're doing something like this for work instead of just for the funsies. There have been some well-meaning Midwestern moms who have come up to me previously at live shows, and they were like, basically the question was, why are you making art for a living? I thought this was your passion thing, and now you're doing it for work. Does that mean that you don't like doing it anymore? I think that's kind of a dumb question. To me, making art is, it's making art. It's a skill. It's a skill that I have worked up, and I am glad that I have, because I like exercising this skill. Do I get like enjoyment out of what I do? Yes, it's a different kind of enjoyment. Because like the enjoyment that you get doing something as a hobby, that is different from the enjoyment that you get doing something to get paid. It's also different from doing something to get paid that you like to do. Because I understand that there are some well-meaning people who ask that question, and they probably ask that question because they work a job that they hate, because they just feel resigned to it, and they feel like that's what they have to do to pay the bills, which, again, if you feel like you have to do something out of obligation, it is probably not true. It's also just not a good thing for you long-term mental health wise to keep up that sort of thing. To keep up that sort of mentality of, I have to do this thing out of obligation, not because I like it. That is not a good thing long-term mental health wise. And the reason that this matters is because I think collectively we're all kind of tired of watching people burn themselves out for diminishing returns. I mean, I know I am. I love drawing Kyle anytime that he pops up in a validation story. He's just a tiny pocket of unconventional masculinity, and I love him so much. Blood of Elves was the first Witcher book written. That was it. Chronologically, The Last Wish is the first. I read Blood of Elves. That was what I read. Yeah, I've been getting a lot of, oh, you're an artist, so what's your real job? Being an artist. That's a real job. Yeah. No, I get that. I don't get that as much. Maybe it's because of Ben, maybe it's because of how you and I carry ourselves if we ever like present that sort of thing. It could also just be expectations placed upon people who are perceived to be a woman and people who are perceived to be a man. Because that's different. Oh, see you later, Chloe. Thanks for sticking around as long as you did. I'm going to be wrapping this up soon, but thank you for coming in and watching. And have a safe and happy new year. So anyway, yeah, I actually don't get this kind of comment as much. Probably because when people look at me, they perceive me as a woman because I'm a female-bodied person and I often dress in female ways. Just declaring this outright, I prefer going by they, them pronouns. I am not denying my inner masculinity. I'm also not denying my inner femininity because I am both. But whenever I say to people that I'm an artist for a living, usually the response that I get is like, people are kind of impressed and respect that. And they're like, hey, you've managed to make that work. That's neat. But probably more people in the back of their mind are like, oh, this person must be married to somebody who has a lot of money. That's the general implication whenever a female-bodied person says that they are an artist for a living. The assumption is, oh, they must have a rich spouse. For the record, I do not. I am not married. I have a roommate, but she and I are not domestic partners in any way. I mean, we share an apartment, we split the bills, but we're not like entangled in that way. But no, I don't have a significant other in my life. I don't share my finances with anybody other than my roommate. And even then, that's just the bills that affect the both of us, like rent. But for everything else, I am in charge of my own money. Oh, here's a question. Do you say you're an artist or a cartoonist? Artist. Artist encapsulates all the things that I do. Because, like, comics are a facet of what I do. I am more often than not paid to draw tattoo art for people. I actually have a really nice commission that a friend of mine is paying me some really nice money to do to draw a back tattoo design for them, which I can show you that here in a bit. But whenever I introduce myself to people, I say that I am an artist. If you're introducing yourself as a cartoonist, that might change some people's perceptions. But I say I am an artist for a living because the art that I do encapsulates more than just comics. Because I do a lot more than just comics. Comics are my main bread and butter most days. But it's not the only art that I do. For full disclosure, though, because I do feel like I need to mention this, because I did not get here by myself. Obviously, I have patrons on Patreon. I have supporters who support me on Ko-fi. I've also, because now all of my grandparents are dead, they did leave their grandkids some things behind to help. So I retroactively got assistance from my parents. I will put it that way. It wasn't a ton, but it was something, and that's more than a lot of people are ever going to get. And I just need to throw that out there to be like, yes, this is a privilege, and I am not taking this for granted. I also feel the need to throw that out there so that, if people are making it work without the assistance of family members, then cool. That is awesome. That is more than lots of people. I also throw that out there to combat this idea that people become one-hit wonders of their own volition without the assistance of anybody. Like, clearly that is not the case for me. I got to where I am today because of the love and support from my readers, my grandparents, and my siblings and my cousins. Like, there are a lot of people who help. My neighbors are being very loud right now. I am going to guess that they're trying to call their dog. I have some neighbors who have dogs. I art, therefore I artist. Yes. To date, the best response I got to saying I was a cartoonist was, "Oh, did you work on The Secret Life of Pets?" That is definitely a response. That's like the last show that I did for 2021. I did a little Christmas flea market thing. That's an experience in and of itself, and I'll tell you about that sometime. But at the Christmas bazaar, there were like some children who were like maybe 10, 11 years old who like looked at my comics and things, and they were like, "It's anime. Do you work on anime?" And I'm like, "I'm an American, so no." And it's like, bless kids. Like, they just say whatever it is that comes to the top of their head with no filter at all, and that's to be respected. All right, let me finish up Rolando here, and then I think I'm going to wrap up the stream because it's been about an hour and a half ish now. But I'm not quite done with him yet. There's a few more things. There we go. Okay. That is good. Yeah, that's good. I'm gonna call it there for now. Um, yes, I do. I am anime. Probably the best response to what I mentioned before. Okay, so before I completely close up here, I kept talking about wanting to show you a piece of art that would show off the aesthetics of a tarot deck that I want to draw this year. I'm going to bring that up really quick before I close out completely. I'm just so pleased with how this turned out. Where are you at? Where are you at? You're floating around here. There it is. Yes. This kind of fine line art style. Now, when I drew this traditionally with traditional inks. I have the pens that I used like here on hand. These are not this one. This one. So let me shrink this so that you can better see. So I used these pens to draw that particular illustration. These are Tombow Fudenosuke pens. You can get these at I know you can get these at Michael's because that was where I got these two. They also have them available at Art Snacks if that helps. But Fudenosuke from Tombow are really nice because they just have ink that lasts forever. And the tips are pretty flexible and they don't dry out. And if you have to erase the pencil lines under the inks don't lift. That's really nice for inks. Oh my gosh. So I got these two because the black pen has a thicker tip. The blue pen has a kind of a finer tip. Using my face for background so that you can see. I did get, for the tarot project, I got another pen. I'm sorry, this comment. Best check yourself, lest you tarot deck yourself. Where do you get these? Okay, anyway, this other pen that I picked up, it is Le Pen. I kid you not. That's the name of this brand. It is Le Pen. Me and my stupid French jokes. This is like really, really fine line. This is teeny tiny tip. Hold on. Okay, yeah, using my face as backdrop because like if I hold it up to the light there, that's a little too stark. But super duper fine, like ball tip. I'm pretty sure if this was like the Sakura pens, this would probably be like a 0.1 nib. But I'm going to be using these brush pens and this fine line pen to draw art that looks like this for the tarot deck project that I want to make. I'm thumbnailing. By that I mean I'm sketching loosely ideas for the individual cards right now. But when making this deck, I want to have the illustrations work with each other almost like a narrative. So like card 0 is the start of the narrative. Card 1 is the next story beat. Card 2 is the next story beat, so on and so forth, and have it tell a narration throughout. Because technically speaking, tarot does that. It's just done in a very symbolic way. But I wanted to make that a little bit more overt with this illustration series. My brain, I hope. Yes. But I'm really looking forward to sharing that whenever I get the rig all figured out and set up, because the tarot card art I do want to draw traditionally. I want to do that with the pens that I just showed off. Just like I did with Aldul the Wise here. I'm going to shrink the banner so that you can see that it's Aldul the Wise. That's who this character is. they make an appearance in my webcomic Puzzle Spell, which you can read on Ko-fi, ko-fi.com/Kelsey D. Crawford. Go to the gallery. Puzzle Spell is split into part 1 and part 2. But Aldul is a character who is going to appear in part 2. Looking forward to sharing more of that. But this was drawn with the aforementioned Tombow Fudenosuke pens, and that's how I did the hatching and the textures and things like that. I'm really looking forward to drawing more art that has this kind of aesthetic to it. I forgot how much I loved inking traditionally until I started working on Puzzle Spell. And then as I was working on it, I was like, oh, this is a lot of fun. This is actually a lot of fun. I just love bold black lines and things like that. My caricature training coming to the surface once more. All right. That is it for today. This has been a blast. This has been a lot of fun, and I'm glad that I could share some of my process with you. If you'd like to find out more of what I do, like checking out my webcomics, looking at my Ko-fi and my Patreon, anything of that sort, or following me on social media, if you're watching this on YouTube, there's going to be links in the doobly-doo. If you're watching this on Twitch or Twitter, you can just go to linktree/Kelsey D, link on the screen right now. All of my links are on that. And hopefully there will be more updates on these projects as we go into 2022. Hopefully this year will be better for all of us. Yes. Yes, absolutely. Impressive, Goodful. Yes. Yes. Now can we all keep it quiet? I would like to see the grass grow. Yeah. I mean, it would be interesting to see the grass grow because it's January. All right. Trying to think of any other closing statements that I want to throw out. Oh, I will be live streaming again Tuesday at 2 p.m. Eastern dated time, 2 p.m. EDT. I will be streaming again on Tuesday. Moving forward, I will be streaming on Tuesdays and Saturdays. Follow me on social medias for any updates regarding what the live streams are going to be about, if they get canceled, anything like that. I'm glad somebody caught my Robin Williams reference. He was so great. Happy New Year, everybody. May 2022 be kinder to us. That's all I have for now. Drink your tea, be safe, enjoy the new year, and thank you so much for watching. You are awesome.